Hello,
Love
friends.
that.
How you doing?
Love that theme song. I just love it.
My nephew wrote it.
I
I'm so proud of him, honestly. I'm never sure if I should look at the camera to address people or here. I've had this problem with my other show, Strangers in Fiction. I think if I look here, it just looks like I'm staring directly at you, which is a bit creepy. At the camera is weirder, I don't know. But I'm very, very pleased to introduce today's guest, Richard L. Pastore. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. I was practicing all morning. The fear is real when you're trying to pronounce somebody's name, especially when you have this like super panic. I know we talked about this earlier. Like the anticipation, it just builds up and you're like, I'm going to say the absolute wrong name. And it's gone live and everyone's seen it. So I can't take it back.
But we're here, we're live,
we're here.
We got it.
Yes, I'm super pleased. So thank you so much for joining me today. This has been a long time coming. When you first reached out to me about coming on the show, this was months and months and months ago, and I was booked up for months and months and months, and I was so pleased when I saw your name come through when you booked your episode. So
thank you. Same here. I loved your interviews, and I just couldn't. Honestly, I couldn't wait to be on here. So,
well, hopefully you'll still love them after this, but we'll see. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. If you missed the intro, then you can go back and watch it. But yeah, let's get into it. So for those who don't know you, could you give like a little overview about your writing and what to expect from you as an author?
Sure. Actually, I published my first book in 2016, but I have been writing since high school. Mm-hmm. And I was mostly writing just for my own enjoyment, or I would give like write little essays, short stories, give them to my friends, see what they thought. Mm-hmm. And they usually enjoyed them, but I never considered ever doing anything like publishing because, you know, independent publishing back then, you had to go to a vanity publisher basically and spend a huge amount of money to pre-buy your books, mm-hmm. basically. And I saw no sense in doing that because I wasn't going to be a writer. But everything changed. The landscape changed. It became basically point and click and you're published. Mm-hmm. So I had a couple of stories I had been working on for years, and mostly short stories and I promised some friends of mine that I was going to write a full-length book. Mm-hmm. And I never finished one. I kept starting and never finished. That's the story of my life. I don't finish things.
Preach.
I tell people this little anecdote about the devil and the wolf. So mm-hmm. I landed on what I was going to write about. And then I said, okay, I'm going to make this the book to finish. And I was painting this house. You know, I was doing all the walls and everything. And I had one door left. It's an entrance to the garage. And I was complaining to myself, you never finish anything, got to do that door, And I said, you know what? I never did that book either. So the door is still unpainted. but the book is out there.
Amazing.
So what I write, I always write something with a comedic element to mm-hmm. it. So Devil and the Wolf story that involves angels, devils, people on earth, but it is basically a comedy, a fantasy mm-hmm. comedy. And same thing with Perseus kills his grandfather. That book was one that I actually wanted to do for a long time. It was my favorite myth, and I wanted to do a true to the story myth.
Okay.
And yeah, so and we could talk about those, but it's also comedic. I mm-hmm. added my own style to it. I didn't know I had a style until somebody was reviewing my book, said, oh, his style is right. I have a style. Okay.
Oh, that's nice. How very accomplished. So I can tell from, like, we had an audio video test yesterday. We've had this very short amount of this interview so far. I know your style is comedy, but it's clever comedy and it's very sassy.
Thank you.
Having read, I'm 87% of the way through The Devil and the Wolf, and I've really, really enjoyed it so far. It's something that I didn't read the blurb. I do that on purpose because I don't want to have any expectations. So at the beginning, I thought, this wolf has sentience now. Where's this going? And then it developed into this like fully fledged, quite interesting story from many perspectives. And I really enjoyed it because you've got really punchy chapters as well. They don't go on forever. It's very much like little flashes of people's points of view. And I really, really have been enjoying it. And it's so my sense of humor. I love sassy humor.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. You hit on actually some of the difficulties I was worried about when I was writing it. It's a long book.
Yeah.
You know, it is a long book, and there are a lot of characters.
Yes.
And you know, and it kind of has a lot of subtle subtext to it on different levels, et cetera. And I throw in a lot, but I was worried it might be too much. And it took a number of edits and some beta feedback for me to just fine tune it. But whenever I hear someone says that they read it quickly, or you know, or they love the characters, and there's nothing about it dragged or anything, I'm so relieved, because that was a concern. Yeah, it was a tough balance. I'm just lucky. I think I hit a good one. I hope, you know. Well,
I think so. I'm really curious to see how it ends, because I can't imagine how it's going to end at all, because I couldn't imagine where it was going.
Well,
and I think that's why I liked it. And there are some of the characters I think I really, really liked, and some I really disliked, but I think that's kind of the point. And what I appreciated was that you have a lot of different devils, and they seem to be from like different cultures, which I learned new things, which was fun. Because I was like, well, usually there's like the devil and then some demons, but there are devils and they all have different responsibilities, and that's kind of cute in a way.
let me just let you in on a little thing about the end. I'm not giving anything away.
Please don't, because I want to finish it.
But I will say this: what I wanted to craft a twist.
Okay.
Like anyone does at the end of a book. You know, they want a little twist towards the end, and it's enjoyable. But I will tell you that my twist, so I won't give anything away, is a twist on a character's motivations. You think you know the motivations, and then the twist comes.
Oh.
So it's not a
what's it gonna be?
No, yeah, you'll see. But anyway, okay. So that's a teaser. I
love it. Okay,
finish it now.
I'm gonna be able to finish it tonight. There's not much left of it, but I was like, if I rush this, I'm not gonna enjoy it. But it's nice to know that there's something exciting. I love a twist. I love a twisty ending. Especially when excuse my swearing. I love at the end of the book saying, "What the fuck?" That's my favorite. It's my favorite kind of ending of a book. When everything's tied up in a neat bow, honestly, I'm like, why did I go on this journey?
Well, you're going to get maybe a little of both. I don't think it's quite WTF, but it's going to be, hopefully, you know, again, just judging by other readers, you're going to say, oh, that seems like a neat. And then you go, it's more like a, nice. I see now. And it makes you rethink some of the plot points, makes you rethink it all. So
cool. Okay, well, I look forward to that. No more spoilers, though. I don't want to have expectations.
The other book, I want to come back to the Dells one. The other book, Perseus kills his grandfather. There's your spoil. That's the book's ending. That's not resist the ending of the book right in the title. So he kills his grandfather at the end.
Okay, well, now I know that.
But it's the journey. Anyway, but that's because the myth is, you know, out there. Okay, so for the Devils, at the end of all my books, I don't just do acknowledgments. I put a little bit about what was going through my mind, where I got my sources from. But there is an author, Stephen Brust, who, and I put this in my book, he wrote a book called To Reign in Hell.
Okay.
And it was like somewhere around 2000. Shows you how long this book was percolating, 16 years. But someone I worked with came to me, Angie Punwani. She came to me and she said, "You'll love this book, but also you'll love it because you're in it." And she knows I have a big ego. So only with me, I'm going to be attracted to it. So I read the book and it was wonderful. It turned the whole concept of heaven and hell upside down. And it supposedly takes place from the beginning of creation up until, say, the split between heaven and hell. And I loved it. And I did see my character in it, and I knew it was me. So I kind of leveraged that a little bit, but I had already created the character in another situation. So it was like kind of combined the two. And that was Mephistopheles. But I used to wear a lot more black.
Okay.
It's Italian. Anyway, so he had that concept of all the devils and the angels, and they were at one time. And so that always resonated with me. Other books too. I love Christopher Moore, etc. These books that bridge fantasy, mythology, I should say, mythology and modern day, etc. So I took that as the launching point. I said, well, let's just say that's the past. What could come after that? And I just, and then everything else is what was coming out of my mind.
So what for you was the seed that started this entire story? Because I couldn't pinpoint what it branched from. Okay,
two. One, the characters, and two, the underlying theme of the plot. The characters of Mephistopheles and JR versus also the plot, which is what is good, what is evil. Right? Is it kind of, that's one of them. So there's a little bit about death and evolution or whatever, but it's very subtle. I don't want to be stupid on it. Just make people think. But anyway, JR and Meph were actually characters I created in a little short story that was just silly. And it was actually, I don't think I've ever told this one before, but it was a classic. He's a devil. Yeah. And he has an assistant called JR. I don't remember, what would generate this, but he was, and this is classic devil. So he was planning a new plague, and his assistant comes back, and it's again, it's usually inept assistant kind of thing, and he says, you were supposed to bring me 2 locusts that I'm going to breed into these more horrific second plague of locusts that the world has never seen. And what did you bring me? And Gerald's looking down at the little container, and he goes, you've given me a katydid and a gummy bear. It's green gummy, and it was just like this little comedy of things. And then towards the end, JR's chewing, he goes, Mephistopheles says, I don't want to know which one you're chewing on. But it's just a little, just stupid, I just wanted something a little light, and I wrote that and I put it aside. And when I was thinking about the characters, they stuck with me. And then I started playing online games, and you got to come up with names. So Mephistopheles, I was in The Sims Online, and I was in World of Warcraft. And then
you played World of Warcraft.
I played a lot of World of Warcraft.
You're even cooler than I thought.
I don't remember which part I left, but I left because it just became like a job. You know what I mean? And
there's a lot of quests.
Just to let you know, I still play online games, not that much. Like my friends and I agree, just a few nights a week, and we pick.
You have to.
DC Universe Online, which is DC Comics, just because it's kind of like we don't have to invest so much brain power when we're playing. We can talk and chat. But anyway, and JR, I gave the last name of Wolf, and then I put the E on to be fancy. And and then again, my friends I played with, they were like, it still exists. This place called there.com, and I had both characters on there because you could have two accounts running at the same time. And it was funny because people would either like JR and not like Meph, or like Mephistopheles and not like JR. It's kind of like freaking me out because, but I would have both on at the same time. And my friends who I was very close with used to ask me, well, how did these two characters? They knew they were characters for me. How did they meet or whatever? And I said, I promise you, one day I will write a short story for that. And that became the book. How they first.
Oh wow!
So it was that, and the theme though is heavier. Like I said, I like to go light, but there's really a lot of heaviness under that theme. 2000, all at the same time, things coming together around that time. 2000, we had the Trade Center. And one of the things that stuck with me very strongly, and I still cannot shake, wasn't just the horror of what happened. I mean, that's obvious. And I was supposed to go into New York that day. I had my best friend working in the Trade Center on the floor that the airplane hit. He was late by 15 minutes. His next door neighbor, who I knew, was there on time, and he's gone. My friend is still around. My 2 cousins worked in the building too, so it was very personal, and I was so distraught. And I said I was supposed to go in and teach HTML at that time, and it obviously canceled it, but. But it was so upsetting. And the thing that stuck with me wasn't that after years. It was that the people who did this were 100% convinced they were going straight to heaven.
Mm-hmm.
For them, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
And everything else is evil. And for us, that was ultimate evil.
Yeah.
And the opposite of good.
Mm-hmm.
And so that subjectivity of good and evil, we take for granted. Because we all talk and we talk about what it is to be good, and that's a good person. And yeah, I'm doing the right thing. I believe I'm doing the right thing. And we always feel like, well, even if someone is not completely, it's close enough. And because we have this concept internally and we just think it's the same externally to everyone else. So we think we're all on the same page. But then something like that happens and lets you realize that 180 degrees apart, right? Complete opposite. And I think that was really bothering me. It still does. And I would say to everyone out there, if you think you're good and you're on the good crusade, maybe think again.
Yeah.
Restore what you think is being good. You know, I think it's, of course, it's being helpful to other people, being kind, being respectful, et cetera, things like that. So anyway, but are we all on that same page? Maybe not. So I put that in there so subtly because you have devils who are good and devils who are bad, and angels who are good and angels who are bad. And in the end, even, I can't give the end, but in the end, it's sort of like you even question, like, one of the angels who, Irimiel, who's very suspicious. I mean, he's kind of right. He was kind of right. You'll see, but it's funny in that way. But yeah, so good and evil. Now, I also touched a little bit because it was also affecting me. I got to a point of life where I'm starting to lose people, etc. And the whole thing of life and death. And I have Jenna, one of the characters in the story, just give a very brief speech to the angels about how through life and death, humans change. We all wouldn't be here if people didn't die, right? And it's a part of the process of change. So, and that's what keeps us going forward. And that's what keeps us growing. That's what keeps everything in the world moving forward and growing. So it's part of life, as I say. But I just wanted little bits in there. So see, it's heavy stuff underneath.
It is, but I think when comedy is such a fantastic tool to make introspection accessible to people, because not everybody is able to do that naturally. I am painfully self-aware to the point where it actually bothers me quite a lot, and I overthink a lot of stuff, and it actually gets in the way of me actually making any progress. And there are those who are unable to do that and actually consider, like, who am I as a person? How do I treat people? And I think things like, you may disagree, and that's totally fine. Things like South Park, I'm a huge fan of, because they take that nobody is safe from the writers of South Park. They make fun of everybody, but they make conversations that are difficult come to the forefront, and the people actually talk about them, and they're doing their job by doing that. So right. I feel like this is one of those tools.
And I've watched them. They are on the other end, though, of the spectrum of where I am, because I rather be subtle.
Oh yeah, you're not like South Park.
Yeah. No. People know that. People should know. It's more like if you are actually discussing the book with somebody, you may hit on something, and it's actually through discussion only, and you might talk about those topics, but maybe not. Maybe it's just a fun ride, and that's all it should be. So in fact, I've said this many times. If you want to know what my main motivation is, have you ever read something on a train, or in a plane, or you're waiting for something? You're in public somewhere, and so you're just reading it, and it makes you laugh internally enough that externally you go, or something. You make it. That's what I want. That's all I want. Is just to get that feeling of humor, to kind of just get to the surface. If you can do that. And I've been told, my cousin, she was on a plane and she started chuckling, and somebody said, "What are you reading?" So got it.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, it's not offensive humor. I just like to put that out there.
Yeah.
But I was giving an example of using humor as a tool to talk about things. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think it's packed full of very unique characters, and they are people I also know. Like, I've definitely met a lot of these people, and now I'm questioning whether or not they're little devils.
Well, you know, I had to humanize them, and a book I didn't end up finishing that I had started many years ago, I think in the 90s, I was basing on people I knew. Mm-hmm. And what a disaster. Because I was giving them copies where I was almost done. I was like 3/4 through, and I was giving them copies, and they started seeing themselves, but they didn't catch on that this isn't really you. Mm-hmm. And one of them, in fact, years later, after one of my friends got divorced, her ex-husband came up to me and said, I know who that was in the book. I should have known that you, and I was like, she wasn't. It wasn't her, you know, because it was a mix of two people. That was coincidental. So I was like, oh gosh, don't put real people in your book, for me at least.
Yes, I don't. You know, I will do that.
This time I wanted to humanize them, and I just thought I actually jotted down for some of them that I was having trouble with. Mm-hmm. I jotted down some characteristics of people I like or didn't like. Mm-hmm. And like what it was that rubbed me the wrong way or what it was I liked. And then I kind of put those to help me define the characters based on real people, but you would never in a million years be able to say, oh, that's that person, because it was just a list of attributes. That's what it was. So.
Definitely safer. We've had quite a lot of stuff in the chat, so I'm just going to show it on the stream just so that people can see. I'm going to start from, I don't know if I can scroll up or down. Okay, we're just seeing the latest one. So I do think I've just met a load of devils, Sarah. And Sarah she's joining us from Sweden today.
Oh, hello, Sarah.
Just hello from Sweden. We've also got Glenn in the chat. Hello, Glenn. And also Mark. Hi. Nice to see you. South Park does have no filter. Absolutely agree. Danica's here. Hello.
That sounds familiar to me. I think I know.
So Danica and Glenn are the other two parts of the Star Path Creatives, which you may have read.
Oh, okay.
Briefly about. So that's probably where you recognize those names from. But yeah, that's very nice. Very nice that people are here. Hello, everybody. Hope you're all having a nice time. This is Richard, in case you missed it. And if you're interested in reading Richard's books, I will put the QR code up here for you in case you want to take a look.
It will lead you to my author site, and then the menus will have books, etc. So you could just go from there. Oh, I do want to say this.
Yeah.
This is a booked exclusive.
Oh, we love that.
I'm only mentioning this here. So just from now until I think Sunday, 5 days, 5 full days on the Kindle versions of my books will be free.
Get free books. Go download them now. Do it now.
That is a booked exclusive. So
amazing. Thank you so much. And honestly, I'd recommend go do it. Thank you. That's really cool. Yeah. So if I better see somebody's already scanned it, you better go get those free books. I'll come and haunt you. I said that earlier. I don't know when I'll haunt them. When I'm dead, probably. Sarah said that she can't scan because she's on her phone, so I will put the link in the chat.
Yeah, we'll have links and again to my website. And I think if I did it correctly on the website, when you go to The Devil and the Wolf or Perseus kills his grandfather, and you click the Kindle version, it'll end you on another landing site where whatever country you're in, it should bring you to the correct Amazon. Because it should do that. It should redirect you again. So you may need to go a couple of steps. But yes, free books.
Free books. We love free books. Free books all around. Free books. Free books. We love free books. Right. We don't love pirating books. We love being gifted books.
Right. It's a very different concept.
Very different. That's something that I've really considered is just making the ebook version of my book when it's finally finished in about 8 years. We'll have different technology then. But just making that free, because then nobody has to like steal it. It's just being gifted.
Right.
We'll see what happens.
Oh gosh,
we never finish it.
What group did that? A musical group did that? Oh, maybe some 15 years ago. They released their album for free for everybody. Period. It's kind of like thumbed their nose at all the streaming spots.
That was U2. Was it U2 when everybody woke up and everyone with an iPhone?
I think it was a smaller group that did that too.
Maybe. but I will never forget the
Almost like
Intrusive U2 album.
something, but I don't. Yeah.
It'll come to you late at night. And
People, when you break the age of 60, it all goes. It just.
I'm half that age and I'm already struggling. God knows what it's
Oh, wait.
like. I'm gonna have to make the most of these years, because boy, howdy did my joints hurt. Oh gosh. But speaking of your website, so you do have you've got a couple of recipes on there. You've got a
Yes,
blog.
I do. I've got some short stories, some recipes. I only blog. It's a blog site, but I only blog maybe twice a year. So, title of the site is possibly the world's worst blogger.
I saw that and it made me chuckle. I wouldn't say it was the worst. I'd say what you have on there is good. It's just very infrequent, and that's not bad. You just got other stuff going on. It's fine. And you also have some short stories and essays on there too.
Yep.
So are they very similar to your novels, or are they of a different genre?
There's only a few of them. Well, there's 2 essays. If you want to learn about Groundhog's Day, definitely. There's one on that, one on the calendars. There's a book. There is a short story I wrote actually in the late 90s when I was taking a course after hours course at NYU, and there was an editor from the Times was teaching creative writing course. I just wanted it, cool. And she liked it. So I said, all right, I held on to that one because I've lost so much of my stuff over there. I didn't think it was important, but it's about, have you ever told someone you like something? Like I like. In this case, ducks. I like ducks, or they assume. And then for the next 20 years, all you're going to get for Christmas and your birthday are duck gifts. Okay.
Yes.
I wrote a story about that. And then there's, I don't know, this is stuff that comes off top. I may do more. Like I said, this stuff I think of and I write a little story, and then I don't know why it just kind of sits there. But I may post more.
Cool.
We'll see. But yeah, they're always comedic, always. Yeah, I would like to tackle a sci-fi. I think maybe non-comedic. I think I mentioned on my webpage, I want to do one where people walk out of the movie theater demanding their money back because they don't know what. Again, I might just do a comedic one because I'm comfortable there. That's my comfort zone.
Like Spaceballs comedy, or like.
I liken my comedy to the opposite of Mel Brooks in time. So one of my favorite all-time movies is 1968, The Producers, Mel Brooks. I love his movies, but that is always my favorite. But that was a real story from beginning to end, where his movies now are basically setups for punchlines. Nothing wrong with that because they crack me up. But Young Frankenstein, another one, is a full story there. You know what I mean? But but he's got more to the punchline and send-up comedy, which is great because it's hysterical. But I did the reverse. My early writings were kind of like that. Boom, 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 boom,
Yeah.
But as I've gotten on with my writing, it becomes more and more thank you, Sarah. I may write one. It's become more and more like story-driven. And that's why I'm having a little trouble with my current work. Maybe I should mention that. I mentioned to Safi earlier, I don't like to talk about what I'm working on, not because I give anything away, but because I may never finish it, so I'm giving expectations. But last year, I tried writing I'm always pushing myself. So back up. Sorry. So when I wrote this book, it was free, whatever was in my head. But I wanted to push a little tighter, and I went to the next book where the plot is complete. I'm coloring inside the lines. I wanted to stick to the plot and yet fill it, and I mentioned that book. So the next step I wanted to do was I wanted to get more to something more realistic, maybe temporarily out of fantasy. So I decided to do historical comedy. And the book I worked on last year that fell apart was a book where a person's living on this island, period of history, and their life is finally, they're like, kind of like my age maybe, and they're kind of retired, like his kids are running the farm or whatever it is, and he settles down to a quiet existence, and then he gets a new neighbor, and everything, his entire existence is thrown into people. That classic story. But the new neighbor is Napoleon Bonaparte, because the Isle is Elba, and Napoleon, when he was exiled there, they'd look around for summer homes as well as his main, and he did disturb everything. So I thought that'd be great, but it just fell apart. So I may revisit. But this one that I'm working on, it's a little more promise. It takes place during the Renaissance, involves many famous people from the Renaissance. You have the famous artists, you have some of them, the Borgias, Da Vinci, Angelo, Machiavelli, they all were around at the same time. And Medici's. And it's actually a comedy and a murder mystery. Nice. It takes place during Christmas for diehard fans. So you could say, so it's going okay, but the problem is sort of the opposite of my problem with the Napoleon one. It's just too much information out there. And I can't kind of stop myself from wanting to be accurate, although this is the beauty. This is what gets me, is that comedy, I've always said this, comedy gives you a get out of jail free card.
Yes.
Anything. You could write a fantasy and your world building can be garbage because it's the humor that matters. Things can just appear, whatever. Or you can start looking at Mel Brooks, he can do a historical thing and the history of the world, and it doesn't have to be real at all. He just make it up because it's for the jokes. But again, I kind of go the opposite way. And I want some realism in there. So there's a lot of data to the Renaissance, and 98 to 99% of it will not be used. But I need to demonstrate that these people were doing this at the right time, that they could have been there. So anyway.
It fascinates me when when writers they strive to be accurate when it's labeled as fiction. But I started working on a thriller a little while ago, and I spent hours researching hiking trails in the 80s in California. For why? I decided I'm going to make up a place because I can't be accurate. I'm not the kind of I am not a fan of history. I say leave it in the past. No, I'm kidding. I do like to be informed, but I don't find things like that to be interesting in terms of research. So I just go the complete opposite direction. I go, it's all fiction. All of it's made up.
Right.
They might have had cell phones in the 80s. They might not have done. I haven't decided yet. But it's just little things like that. But I appreciate the amount of work that goes into these things because it helps having that 86% background of information for you to build the story, even if it's not all detailed in there. It helps you to form the world.
It puts the context. And again, I think if I really get too caught up, I'll just make stuff up. I could have done that with the Napoleon thing, but it turned out there was nothing on Elba. I mean, I couldn't have people go to the local pub and the characters be there because they probably didn't have a pub out.
Yeah.
They didn't have an inn. They didn't have, only the main town, but every place else was barren. So I was like, all right, that's not working. But I could have made one up. And maybe I will. Maybe I'll go back.
You might. It's not finished, so you can do what you want with it. Be who you want to be, Barbie girl. That's what I say.
So we'll see if this one gets made. I think it will. Like I said, I got a chapter done and a little bit more. So that's very promising. I usually don't get to that point unless I think I've got something to pursue.
Yeah. And that's okay. There's no timeline. If you're publishing it yourself, you can do it when you want.
That's actually a funny thing. In the Devil and the Wolf, I mentioned something, I can't anyway, but like some people getting together in 2020. And of course, I published that in 2016. And it was supposed to be in Milan. And, 2020 in Milan was when COVID had hit. So,
yeah.
So if I do a sequel, think about that, of doing a sequel for it. I'm either going to start right then and there with the two main characters in an airport going worst vacation ever, or just pick up in 2017. I can do that. Just pick up like the next year or something and write it in that past time. So
I mean, I know you know Mark Paxson, right?
Yes,
Great dude.
Yeah, great. He's really talented.
So are you.
Like I'm made up talented.
Honestly. But Mark wrote The Jump, I think, in 2015.
Yeah.
And it coming out at the moment, having read it, I was like, this feels like a documentary.
Right. And that's
he could not have predicted that, because I don't think we're not going to get political on here, but it is very politically charged.
That's why he took so long to put it out, because when he wrote it, reality wasn't that, and that was going to be a great little fiction. But
no, it's weirdly factual and a little bit creepy. Fantastic book. But that's the thing when you date stuff. Hi, Mark. We're talking about you. I love that your name shows up as the Pastore.
If I knew he was going to be here, I wouldn't have complimented him.
and it's live and it's recorded, so you can't get away from
it. I can't go back and do it. The bell has been rung.
Just a couple of comments that we've missed during our chat. So Danica has comedy in her books, and is always afraid that nobody's going to find it funny. Well, then it's not for them, and they should get a grip.
I was going to say, I guarantee you there will be people that don't find it funny, because more subjective than right and wrong, good and evil is what's funny.
Yes.
But do you want to hear the most egotistical thing? I know people,
Of course I do.
Actors, and I'm very egotistical. Actors talk about like how they can't see themselves in the movie, and people who write books say, "No, I just wrote it, and I didn't want to even reread." Sometimes when I'm down, I reread my own books.
Good.
And that's the whole.
I'm glad.
If it's making you, if you're self-publishing. I talk a little bit about that, self-publishing and publishing. But if you're self-publishing and you're not in it for the money, think about what you're in it for. And if it's to get something out, like a deep scar you want healed, or if you got a great concept, you just want to see what happens to it, do it, and don't worry about people liking it or not liking it, because you're doing it for yourself first. Remember that. And if people love it, that's great, because that connects you. And it may only be one person that likes it. It may be two people. I think in mine, there's 5 people. No. But it doesn't matter, to me, because that's.
We have some compliments. So Sarah said that you're such a mood, which is complimentary. And Ellen Holmes says, flaunt your ego. And so you should.
When I was in high school, I was told you could never beat me down, because all I do then is self-inflate my own ego and float away.
Oh, that's fantastic. Amazing. Where do you get all your confidence from? Have you always had it?
I don't know, because inside is the opposite.
Yeah.
Okay, I think this is again, I don't never care how to say. If you read The Devil and the Wolf, a lot of those characters are me in my mind. Yeah. And I talk about, if I had been horribly mistreated as a child, I would have been Sybil, but I wasn't. So instead, I've got a mind that when it's difficult for me to do something, like even now, I'm on, it's a different character than when I'm off a little bit, And so I think what helps is that there's both a help and a hurt, is that there's always a cacophony of voices in my head in a way. Not like I'm hearing voices, but you know what I mean? My brain just separates so I can analyze things sometimes, the pros, the cons, whatever, but it does that a lot. And so there are voices that are like, no one's going to like this, and you're kind of wasting your time, and why should you bother? But there's a lot of other voices that go, isn't this fun? It's great to bring these characters alive. I'm enjoying the end result of this one paragraph. I wrote this, it makes me laugh. I like it. So, those win. There's a lot more of the go and do it, but don't ever think that at least for me, being confident is just to the bone. It is not. Yeah. It's just a consensus.
No, I'm glad. And it's one of those things where when you are writing anything, whether it's nonfiction, fiction, anything that you're going to share with the world, there is that internal battle for most people. that flip-flops day to day. Like,
Right.
I shouldn't be doing this. I really want to do this. I can't stop myself from doing this. It's amazing. Why am I bothering? I'm no good.
Right. You get those. And that's natural too.
Oh, absolutely. Most people are like that.
Yeah.
For the few that there are a couple, I am not naming names. You may, if you're on Twitter, you may see these people around. But there is one person that comes to mind who absolutely believes that they have written the best book in the world, and that everybody that doesn't like it is an idiot. And they say that, and I think there's something to be said for being humble, but I don't think that you should be mean about yourself or about your writing, because it's so subjective. Like, there are books that I absolutely love that have like 2 stars on Goodreads because I have a different taste to other people, and that's totally fine. But yeah, I think you have to have some elements of humility to be appealing to people, but self-depreciation isn't the way either.
It's so important to realize that, because your ego will easily take a hit if someone says, I don't like X, I don't like your book, I don't like your paintings, I don't like whatever. It's like, it's so subjective. There are going to be people that don't, and that's natural. I tell people, if you didn't like the book, re-gift it to someone you hate.
Give it to the library.
The library. Yeah, but or it makes a good doorstop. I do have another little thing to maybe help people who I don't know, who may have trouble, thinking maybe I shouldn't. I took a course for fun once on pottery. All right, with the wheel and everything, and I thought this would be so cool. And everything I made, it was for over 6 weeks, 2 nights a week, and every single I made just collapsed and became an ashtray. And nobody I know smokes, thank gosh, but that's always the big. And my friends who took it with me, like they were feeling bad, and I was telling them, I'm having a time of my life. I loved it. I kind of want to do it again. Even though I couldn't make anything good. But it was so much fun.
Yeah.
Well, I think you really need to keep that in mind.
Definitely enjoy the process is like the tagline of writing, because you may never finish it. Like, we're not all guaranteed tomorrow. So
yeah,
just enjoy the thing. Don't make it a stressful endeavor, because what's the point? Like, I get it if it's like your job and your income and your bread and butter, you kind of have to put a stress on it. But if you do it for leisure, enjoy it. Seriously.
That's what I point out when people ask me about going into publishing, or being an author, etc. I say, look, fortunately, most of them are younger than me, so I can give them life experience. But I think at the outset, decide what your real goal is. And if it's to make it your livelihood at some point, then you really need to do that legwork. You got to get a publisher. You got to go down that I think traditional route. You got to be willing to compromise too. Remember, you are making products to sell, so you can make money to earn a living, to then maybe get to a point where you can do whatever you want, if you're lucky, and you have to realize everything that goes with it. And I always like people who do that. I'm in awe, because I know from just any field I went into, the experience and the attention, you got to pay your bills, et cetera. So, but there's the other side of it. If you say, I don't want to do it as an artistic expression, I want to do it for fun, I want to do it for whatever. Like I said, there's people who just, it's cathartic. Then don't worry. Then remember that. Remind yourself of that every step of the way. You're not in it for the money. You're not in it for the fame. You're not in it for anything. If it happens, that's nice. Let's not toss that out. But Netflix, if you're watching.
Devil and the Wolf would make a good show, I'm just saying.
I've been told that many times.
Just saying,
great series. But just keep in mind that that isn't your goal.
Yes.
I think that'll help. So anyway,
fledgling writers, do it because you love it.
And then one more thing. Then we can get maybe some questions if there are. But I also think one of the things I love about writing, and every single writer out there, you should know this, especially if you're getting stuck at some point. What we do more than anything else in this world is pure magic. I like to think of it as Einstein's spooky action at a distance, because when you put something on paper, no matter what it is, and somebody reads it, you have affected their mind. Even if it's a list of instructions, it's a recipe, whatever. You're not there. They're hearing your words, they're reading, and they're hearing, and they're coming up with pictures and images or whatever it is of your books without you even being there. Not even at the same time. This is through time and space.
Oh, it's incredible.
And every one of us, we are sorcerers. So keep that in mind.
Wizard hands. That's bigged me up, to be honest. And just on that note, we had Tammy join us earlier, and I didn't have the opportunity to put this up.
Tammy! Oh my gosh!
Fun to hear you talk after only hearing your written voice. Now you have a voice to the words.
You don't want to hear my voice when you're reading. I actually have these.
Voice. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's Brooklyn.
I love it.
New York, yeah.
Big fan. Okay, so we have a couple of questions. We had one earlier that I knew I was going to come back to. Let me find it, because I don't want anyone to feel like I've not read it, but sometimes I try and time them. What are you reading right now?
Oh.
Not right in this very second, because that will be the comments. But
right. That's what my answer is going to be. Okay, you have to understand something about my writing process, because my next book I am going to read, I have a backlog like you can't believe, like most of you do know, but like that. But is The Jump, and then another. Well, anyway, the Jump is next. That's the next one I have. I don't want to say where the other books are because they may take even longer. But one of the things I have a problem with when I'm in a particular point of the creation where I'm actually starting to write, I said I finished one chapter and I'm doing parts of other chapters. I can't read another book. It's too effective.
Yes.
I think once I can get like 75% done, where now I'm really comfortable, maybe even 80%, then I can read something else. But unfortunately, this book is taking longer to do that initial part than my other books did, although they're 5 years apart, but it took me like a year to do total, publish and everything. But this is I'm in that period, and so and it's been long, and it's bothering me because I do want to read a couple of things,
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the next one on the list. But don't read the book. I've heard it's horrible.
Was that Marg?
Well, I heard it's very political. I don't know.
It's so political.
It's so political.
It is. It is very political. That's why I liked it. Oh dear. But I'm very similar. I can't read in my writing genre because I'm afraid I absorb ideas and then I write ideas and then I let my husband know the ideas and he goes, we watched that yesterday. So I have to be really careful because I'm like, this is such a good idea. I can envision the whole thing. Like, that is literally the plot of Alien.
You're getting this subconsciously, but what even hits me sometimes is it's kind of some kind of mimicry goes on with this style. I'm not really conscious of starts to come out, especially if that's why of all the things I cannot do is read another comedy.
Yes.
Because I absorbed those comic things. I used to, as a kid, even redo the jokes again and for my friends. And so that's a little,
okay, so I'm going to go in chronological order now. So, back to Danica. Our characters are 100% real. I firmly believe that all writers are a bit haunted. Okay, so which of your short stories did you enjoy writing the most?
Okay, before I answer that, just to get back to the 100% real, I mentioned doing a sequel, but I may or may not, but I have pages of dialogue between Meph and JR.
Do you?
That I've created because I can bring their voices up. Like that. And I do it sometimes. I'm on Blue Sky a lot, and I used to be on that other place, but we'll get into that some point.
The bad place.
But I do occasionally. We'll have very occasionally. I use a little little tip. If you're going to write a book, if you can do the character titles as that are emojis too, that works out nice. So I'll have a little devil icon and a wolf icon, and they have their little conversation. So. So yeah, they're 100. And okay, so which of my short stories I enjoy writing the most? Unfortunately, again, I was writing short stories for a good 40 years, 30 years. and I never kept them. They were on paper. They were, or at some point they got the floppy disk or whatever. And, and there were a couple I may need to revisit and resurrect in my mind. I enjoyed those because I had read a lot of short story writers during that period too, like Ray Bradbury, who does more than science fiction. He has this, the white ice cream suit was really touching. There's a couple of great short stories, but others too. I was just so into it and reading compendiums and buses and whatever. And there's some of them I think I need to revisit and see if I can pull them back up. So the ones I put up on the site, those are they're okay. They're good. I wouldn't have put them out there if I didn't think.
Well, there is that.
Yeah.
So Danielle, basically pick any of them.
The duck one, though, that might be a long-time favorite. So yeah, you can read that one.
Excellent. I'm gonna go check it out after this. Actually,
it's got a twist at the end.
Oh, I love it. I love a twist. You got me. Okay, I'll read it. Before I go on to the next question, if you are watching this and you do have any questions, please put them in the chat. Yeah. No question is stupid. I
will answer anything in the world. It doesn't have to be on the books, because if I don't know the answer, I will make it up.
Fantastic. You are a storyteller. So
I am.
Yeah. Maybe that's the thing I should introduce into this show. Get the people in the audience to ask like weird questions, and then you have to make up a lie, 2 truths and a lie. My brain's going crazy now. Okay. Do you have any advice for writing effective comedy?
Yes. This is going to sound horrible because, but it isn't. I would say study comedy, study what makes something funny. I always think about the Marx Brothers, who, by the way, elements of Meth and JR's interactions are from Harpo and Groucho, believe it or not. If you've ever seen the movie Duck Soup, there's a point where it calls for His Excellency's car, and it's Groucho Marx goes out there and is Harpo on the motorcycle. There's your chauffeur. But they used to do their material from stage to stage to stage to stage, refining it until it was funny. So it was funny enough to make into part of their movies, one of their acts. And then there are, you can look at W.C. Fields, you go to the ancients, as it were, and you go to modern comedy and just kind of step back and say, why is that funny? I did a lot of, for a while of my life at college, I was in psychology and anthropology, et cetera, and I read enough about humor there, where humor, the smile, you're showing your teeth, it's element of surprise. It's shock, it's surprise. It's actually leveraging fear and releasing fear as a positive emotion of laughter. Okay, they're really connected. So you may not realize it, but very, to the animal brain. When you read a punchline, that's a surprise, and everything turns itself, and that kind of makes you release. And so this, and I hate to say that because it's like, why should I do all that research? And you don't have to. Okay, but I think knowledge of that might help a little bit. But then this is the flip side. I grew up in a family where everything on my father's side was humor. My mother's side is all tragedy, but my father's side is humor. My cousins would put on skits. They would write cartoons. They would do. So I grew up with, and again, my father would show me the Marx Brothers movies and all that, Some Like It Hot, et cetera, all the classics, because humor ruled the day. So, I grew up with it. So I get some of it
in your blood,
and some of it. You see comedians who are not funny when they're off stage, and they say, and their friends will say, "Oh, they're deadly serious when they're not on stage, but they're hysterically funny on stage." That's the ones who studied. And then you have others who just, right off the top of the head, they're always funny. That's probably grew up with that.
Do you think it helps? So do you write the type of comedy that you enjoy?
Reading?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That is exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah,
I'm gravitating to what it is that I feel is funny. And again, you've heard it. Write the book you want to read.
exactly. Yeah.
Right? And that is exactly what I did in both cases so far. It's something I wanted to read if I didn't write it. That kind of. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that rings true for pretty much all books, but especially comedy, because if you write the comedy that you enjoy to consume, then it comes from a genuine place of humor rather than trying to figure out like the formula for making people laugh. Some people just naturally aren't that funny, and that's totally fine. They can stick other things, or share the thing that you get joy from, and there will be other people in the world that enjoy that thing as well. Statistically speaking, they might not find your book, but there will be people that enjoy it.
I think that's an important thing too, is as a writer, challenge yourself and write other genres. Even a small short story is a great way to do it, although short stories have to have their own beauty and design, but just as an experiment for yourself and see how, or scene, apply it, whatever. Just write something to get a feel for it and see how it works for you. Because I always point out, I will never, I don't like saying never, but probably never getting towards the end of my life. So yeah, I could probably get away with that. Like a romance story or a horror story. Romance, because I am terrible. I mean, terrible at romantic scenes. They're just god awful. And horror, I could probably do them, but that intensity, I would go too intense, and then I kind of disturbs it. I can't keep that intensity of what some of the really good horror. I could probably do suspense, but not horror. I can't keep that. It's just a little too much for me. So I again, kudos to you who can. I'm almost in love with that, but I can't keep up that intensity in my brain as I'm working through plots. It's just
not everybody can do horror.
Not everyone can. That's what I mean. So yeah, I would say try comedy in a short form, and if it's kind of speaking to you, good. And if not, try something else too. Try something.
Well, that's it. And you also don't have to share it with anyone if you don't want to. You could do it and go, well, I hated that experience. I won't be doing that again. And nobody's going to know.
Oh, I see a comment from Danica, by the way. Also, I should have said, read in that genre. A lot in that genre. And I think that'll give you that'll help. That'll help.
For comedy, definitely. And even watching, like translating the comedy from stand-up or a movie or a series or whatever, you'll find also characters that embody the characters that you're trying to create as well, and their mannerisms will be super helpful. And Danica says that she reads a lot in her genre, because most of the time she thinks that she will write it much better. And you know what? If that's what helps you, then do it.
Yeah, I feel like that was
yeah.
A lot of times I see movies, I feel like I could have written that better.
Right.
And that's not necessarily a compliment on me.
Yeah, honestly, some things that come out lately, anyway. Here's one that you can either make up, or if you have the answer, then feel free.
What is the nature? Oh, Joel, I recognize you. Hey, what is the nature of the earthly plane? That's a good question. In my book, it's basically our universe. Right? I play with the concept, if you know physics, brains, which it's a physical concept of universes existing within brains, multidimensional brains, and there are an infinite number of them. And then there was one thing I read once where our universe may have been created when two brains hit each other. So it's like playing them out. So there's even physics in my book. But I think the earthly plane is everything that you can touch and hear and smell, and everything we can discover, everything within the bounds of the known. Is the earthly plane. And then the other things, heaven, hell in my book, or anything else, are the other alternate, immense, infinite possibilities that could exist. Chaos, if you will. Chaos is the possibility of everything, and then and stuff that follows different laws of physics, etc., could be what are other planes of existence. But there you go. How's that for an answer?
That's a much better answer than I would have given.
And thank you, Joel. Nice to see you again. If you want the same Joel, I think.
If not, hello, new Joel. So there aren't any other questions in the chat at the moment, but I'm going to give people a bit more time to ask stuff.
I did see some earlier. I don't know if I could.
I don't know what this is in reference to, Sarah. So if you care to elaborate, I'd appreciate that, because that was the timing's really weird on this, because we could have completely gone past the subject and then the comments will come through. But I have a question for you. So it's not really a question, sort of is. I'm going to just put it out there anyway. So you are part of or have contributed to the writers helping writers, so writers supporting writers. I always get the name wrong because there are a couple that are named similarly, alongside some lovely people that we both know. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. There's a group of writers, indie writers, that meet regularly, and I had gotten originally an invite from Bertold Gembro, who's one of them, Mark Paxton's another, and to sort of be a guest on there. And so I agreed, and then I wouldn't leave. And so this with me. But I have a link for them on my website. You just to read the opening stuff. There's a link there for and we meet about every 4 weeks, and we field questions from other indie authors, or we'll just come up with concepts and questions that we see online, like people asking questions. We'll just tackle them and give our points of view, and even where we differ, there's more overlap than there isn't. Like we all believe in, even if we come up with these things, well, you could try this, you could do that. It's always you do what you want, like there are rules, and it's good to know them, but if the rules aren't working for you, I'm the heartbeat of the group.
Mark, are you getting sentimental?
Oh, don't make me cry.
Ew, that's cute.
Yeah, do what's working for you. Find that. But there are rules that are useful to just start and think about. But but we all agree with that. Don't be caught up in rules.
Yeah,
you can always find an example of somebody successful, in literature, who did not follow those rules.
For sure.
But I think it's also me personally. It's good to know them. It's like if I don't know, it's like learning to play an instrument first before you maybe become part of a group, a band, right? You want to at least have some familiarity. So it's good to know them, but then make your own path.
For sure, yeah, and that's something that Mark's written about on the website. There is a blog post. I think it's called "You Don't Need No Stinking Rules," which is fantastic. And I'm under a very similar thought process with that, is that you should know the rules that help you string together a cohesive story in terms of sentence structure and grammar and blah blah blah. But you don't have to have your book in 3 acts. You don't have to have the big payoff at the end. You can have it at the beginning and then deal with the aftermath. Or I've spoken to an author recently who has their crescendo right in the middle, and then there's just the fallout afterwards. So if everybody followed every single writing rule, we'd all end up with copy paste with some different points of view. And there is something really powerful about the mavericks in the indie community that just do whatever the hell they want. Like, I appreciate that, and I can tell when I'm reading something that is different. And it's not a case of like, oh, be different. It's a case of do what you want to do. Do what you want to do.
Working, doing what. Yeah. One of our other writers in our group, Audrey Driscoll, we just had this little sort of online back and forth. She does a blog. She regularly blogs online. Oh, right. She put that out there about she put an article, and it's all about, I never heard about this, but beat sheets and writing, whatever. And I did mention that I'm very, very aware. I remember learning them about the classic story arcs, there's the hero's journey. There's the other one I can't remember right now. It's like from rags to riches, another one. And then from riches to rags. There were these classic up and down. You could do like a nice little, graph of what it is for your book. Here's the Rocky story is a classic hero's journey, where he builds up and then he's beaten down and he comes back, but he's beaten down further, but then he succeeds. Whatever. And I was saying how I'm very cognizant of those, and that helps in giving me some concept. But when I was writing my books, I specifically said to myself, I don't want to do exactly that. Like, I don't want, I have 3 threads going through the Devil and the Wolf. I have a couple in Perseus, and I didn't want them all, I want them woven, but I didn't want them to all hit at the same time.
For sure.
So
Yeah.
I ended one on this chapter, and then the next 2 were very close. They kind of crescendo together.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted that just for my own. That's what I wanted. I wanted to paint that way, So again, it's the idea of knowledge. It's good, and then but work from it, not to it. I'm making stuff up now. We'll make up.
You're a writer. You're supposed to make stuff up. Also, I found another little devil. I knew it was going to be you, Danny.
What was I going to say? I can give you the answer for world peace.
Is it 42?
Well, no, I can't give you the details, but I will tell you this. It's going to involve hiring a lot of Oompa Loompas. I think it can be done. Yeah, I'll answer anything.
Amazing.
42. Yeah.
They must be working on an Oompa Loompa lab somewhere. There must be.
It's that group that are bringing back the rhinos and the dire wolves and whatever. They're
except have they gone extinct, or are we making them up?
They may have gone extinct, or if it makes them bring them back, maybe we can make them go. But
something that really reminds me of there's a moment in The Devil and the Wolf that I really liked, and I won't say exactly what it is in case you don't want to spoil it, but it's where we find out where all of these myths and legends have come from, like Bigfoot and things like that. I thought that was such a good touch. I really liked that.
Chupacabra. And I love saying chupacabra, so I had to work that in. I love that. I love the whole concept of it too.
Oh, it's fantastic. I loved it. It was good.
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good.
Honestly, it's a fantastic book. If you love comedy and a bit of fantasy, and if you like a little bit of heaven and hell and questioning morality and what's good, what's evil, it's a great book. So go check it out. I haven't read Perseus Kills His Grandfather, but obviously I'm going to at some point once I get past my 20 open books.
About it, just to give people,
please do.
Or they buy it, because even if it's free, you may miss out on that, and you may say, "Is it worth my?" Okay, I took the actual story of Perseus, which is about 1.5 pages, and there are easily several different versions of it from history. But every time I went to a movie, and even if I love the movies, like Clash of Titans, the original with Harry Hamlin, whatever, I would sit there because this was my favorite story myth when I was a kid. And it's, as I point out at the end of the book, it's probably the only Greek myth that ends on a positive note, even if the grandfather does get killed. And so I wanted to do that story that Hollywood refuses to do. And I understand why. You need fight scenes, you need this and that. And I want to do it true to that story, and then just fill it in with characters and dialogue, which is where I feel is my comfort zone. I love writing dialogue. I like creating characters. I have a whole bunch of steps, if I could give some of them out, but on honing them down a little bit. And so that's what I wanted to do. And it is, so if you do read it, it was just constraining because I couldn't make up a plot element so much as, unless it's talking about getting from A to B, which the myth will say, oh, and then Perseus went here and it's on the other side of the world. And you're like, well, how did he get there? What happened on the way? So I can do that. But everything is in there. It is the story. If you ever do know it, you will recognize it from beginning to end. Hopefully you like it. I don't know. But again, we talked about that.
It's subjective, but if you missed it earlier, or if you skipped bits or whatever, if you're looking at the recording, head to Richard's website, go and find The Devil and the Wolf and Perseus Kills His Grandfather. They're free on Kindle at the moment. I can't remember the date you said until, if you could remind me. Oh,
I think it's Sunday. It's 5 days from today. That's what they allow me, is 5 days of free. So today, and then go 5 days inclusive.
Great. Awesome. So go download the books, read the books, review the books, be inspired. and I will leave this up. But yeah, if I can't see any more questions in the chat, before I let you leave, I just wanted to check, is there anything else that you wanted to have talked about that we didn't get the chance to talk about? Oh, excellent.
Well, I think we covered everything outside of ChatGPT is evil, but we're not going to go into that. I have,
you know how I feel about that.
2 blog posts on it, and that, considering I only do 1 or 2 a year, that shows how important. But yeah, I think we really did cover everything, and I just again can't thank you enough. I knew I'd have fun doing this. I knew it would be a great interview with you. You bring things up out of my brain, so that's good.
Well, I hope that you did have a good time today and that it hasn't frightened you away from the show.
No, bring me back constantly. That I warned you because, like I said, look at the writers supporting writers.
I'll just have you showing up, I'm sure, at different intervals. But yeah, I mean, I'm booked up until July, so it might be a little while. But
I could be your Ed McMahon. I could just sit on the side and go, "You are so right."
Oh yeah, maybe we should have a little hype session. Okay, my sidekick.
The sidekick.
But yeah,
thank you. Let me just say this: I did this one. Thank you to everyone who joined. Yes. I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to listen to this, and I love this show, by the way. And I'm never said that to kiss up because I've been listening to it since ages ago. So
yes, you're one of the OG.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
So I thank you for attending.
Yeah, thank you for everyone that was here. Again, take advantage of the free books because they're good. And yeah, I will put the link. I've already put the link for your website in the chat. I'll also grab the link to your Amazon page as well, just in case people can't navigate.
I can't say 9 out of 10 dentists like my books, but I do know my dentist like my books. So
100% of the dentists that
I go to
like your book. Well, on that note, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a pleasure. I'm gonna see you backstage after this.
Oh, sure. Yeah. That would be great.
Stick around. And goodbye, everybody. I love you.